Welcome back to another Laser Map Maker tutorial. Today we are actually going to make a physical map using Laser Map Maker. So let's make some files. We're going to use like the Ozarks map. They have some really cool bodies of water. And let's go ahead and I'll just show you my process. Your process may look differently, your layers may look differently, but the idea is that we build a map. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and create a roads. I like to start with roads cut. So we're going to make a cut layer. This is actually the top layer. So you can select all here. I don't really need road polygon or these cases. Cases are like the outside of the road. They're kind of, they're for like outlining, but it's a little bit different than like the trace outline to vector. So you'd want to actually use like a solid line to trace the outlines, but they make cool outlines of roads if you ever want to engrave. Hope that makes sense. All right, I like to add bridges because roads and bridges have a lot in common and they connect, and so I don't really know if there's anything here in the Ozarks that's going to connect, but it doesn't hurt to put it in. I'm going to kind of show you my process of how I work through the lines and the layers and stuff. So let's create this. Cool. So we have some stuff here, and it looks like we have some weird things just like right off the bat. I'm like, what is that? But that's easy. We just go to this toggle inspect mode and we're like, what is that? Road arrow way line. Okay, so it looks like some sort of like cable car kind of thing. Very interesting. All right, so let's see what these lines are. So then you have all these other lines: road secondary, tertiary, and road primary. Cool. So for now, let's just turn this off. We're not quite done. It's actually kind of nice to get your layers on the map and then take layers away and move them around. I'm sorry, take features away from layers. So like roads cut is like a layer, like a physical layer that we're going to export. Let's go ahead and do land cut. So land cut is very simple. If you take land fill and water fill, it's going to fill a land and a water, which when we get to the tracing strategy, you will be able to basically outline this filled body of water and get the perfect cut lines. Cool. So I don't really care for these arrowway lines. I'm actually going to remove them right now. So I just hit that inspector tool. I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And I don't know if anyone saw, but up here in the line selected, it's auto-selected it. So I'm just going to delete, and you'll see delete feature. Are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, get it out of here. So now it's gone, which is super nice. The other thing is, I don't really know if like these small lines, this is actually, this is going to be on the engrave side, and these thick lines will be on the cut side. So if you can imagine, the water and these small lines will be on one layer, and then these black lines will be on another layer. So I'd like to go ahead and I already kind of know, because I selected all the roads here, that these are small little roads that are also being, road street low. So I actually want to take the road street low and I want to remove it. And right now, if you could see it, when I selected it, it says this is what you selected. And then if you go here, you could see it was selected here. And I actually want to take it out of the roads cut layer because I'm going to use it in the land engrave layer. So I'm going to delete that. Yes, I'm sure. And now it's gone. So now we can make our second part of the land job, which is going to be the land engrave. And we will be engraving the road lines that we just removed from that other layer. So if we go to roads, we go to road, we'll see road street load, which is what we had removed. And we're going to go ahead and create that layer. Cool. So now it's separate. It'll export separately. And it's exactly what we need to make this work. So let's start at the top. There's two things we have to do now. We have to look at the layers on like line thicknesses and whatever else we'd like to edit. In this case, I just want to make the road lines thicker. And when I do that, I'm going to have to do some small edits for line joining and stuff so it doesn't look wonky. And I'll show you that. We've already embedded the tooling for this. So we'll go ahead and just start there. But there's two things, right? There's the layer and then there's the border of the layer. So each layer comes with a border. And this is going to be something I'll show off in Lightburn and how cool it is. And it just saves you even more time on the processing portion. So we can go ahead, this is the roads cut layer, and select all these. So because they're all the same symbol, they allow us to edit them all at once. So let's just click that. And remember these small lines, they're not on that layer anymore. So they're not going to be updated. They will, but just not in this multi-feature style update. Okay, so I'm gonna zoom down the line width. And I'm going to override any line widths there are and set them all to, I believe, yeah, I guess to 2. And so now I can kind of mess with the line widths. Let's see. Okay, cool. So we can make some pretty nice big roads. And they're slightly jagged, so maybe I'll override this. Yeah, kind of make some rounded edges and stuff like that. That's a line cap. And then there's like line join you can override. It's really just something you have to mess with and click around a little bit to see what you prefer. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and just be done. I'm gonna leave roads. I always like to make roads black. You do want to separate each of these layers by color because if you use Lightburn especially, it's very handy, and we'll get there and I'll show you. So let's go back, and now I'd like to create a border width here, and I want to update the tracing strategy. So the tracing strategy is going to be outline. So instead of this filled black line, I'm going to take and vector trace the outlines of those roads, and that's what you're going to get in your export for the roads. I want it to be an SVG. There's some other cool options in here. And then I would like a border width of 60. So it's a nice border. It's going to look really cool, really bold, and we're done with roads. So now let's move right along to land engrave. And land engrave, I think I do want to make the street lines just a tad bigger. Yeah, something like that. And what's awesome is if you have a whole layer that is, I'm sorry, right here, a whole layer that's dedicated to engraving, you do not need borders. And I will show you why when we get there. But just know that you can say border width 0, and you want to turn this all the way off so that you don't get a phantom inset line. And whenever you engrave, it's typically fill, but it's whatever you want. If you want the outlines of the lines you're looking at, like these lines right here would become 2 lines if you did outline. So right now they're fill, so what you see is what you're going to get. So we're good with the engrave layer for land. And that's funny, I did it out of order, but okay. So for land cut, whoops, sorry about that. I had kind of an issue with my internet, so I had to come back here. Okay, so we were on land cut, and we needed to do water. So water's done here. Okay, cool. And the land, we wanted it to be green. Oh, that's still the water. Okay. There we go. Cool. So what do we want to happen here? We want the water to be the bottommost layer. So the green is what we want to be the second layer. That's going to have these nice thin black lines on it. And then the big thick black lines are going to be what sits on top. So the water is actually just a blank layer. So we're going to want to cut away at that. What do we want to connect to the frame? This is how we need to think about it. And what we want to connect to the frame is the land. So we'll go ahead and make sure that the land shares the same color as the green. Okay, so you're like, where is it? I can't see it. Well, each layer has its own border, and depending on the order, you may or may not see it. But I'm going to show you how you can just check to see if it's working. So we're going to do 60 border as well. Can't see it though, right? So let's just go like 65, or, you know, for instance, 80. So you can see that border popping out. But we want it to be the same as our other one. So we're just going to go back to 60. We know it works. Cool. And so for the tracing strategy, this is a filled in feature, and we actually want to outline the fill so that we get those nice cut lines we're looking for. So it'll be a green fill and then a green background, and then when all this is traced, you're going to see just how easy it makes life. All right. So I think this is actually where we want it. And at this point, we can do a lot of things. We could adjust the map where we wanted to. You can toggle this border inspector to kind of see beneath if you wanted to, and zoom, rotate, all that stuff. But we're pretty much good to go. So I'm just going to go ahead and export. Okay. So it says preparing map layers. Please keep browser focused in this tab until the map layer preparation process is complete. So don't navigate away. Stay in this process. And that was actually pretty fast. So let's go through these. You see how the black roads connect to the black border. So when this outlines, it's going to be perfect. You will not need to spend any time cutting node lines away before it will melt to the border. So we are going to lose these little lines, but that's okay. Land cut. You can't see it. Well, you kind of can here, but there's a green border. So it's going to outline basically just the water here, and this water piece is just going to fall out. And then we're going to produce a piece below it that's going to be blue, and it will look really sharp. So this will outline the fills of the green and blue. And then this is our engraved piece. So it doesn't need a border. It's going to be something that we're going to cut this, and then we're going to just basically engrave this job right on top of this. And that's all you got to do. So let's go ahead and export. All right. So now we are waiting for the processing to happen. And you can kind of do this cool little thing where you hover over it. It's really cool. Get to see like a little snapshot of your work in progress. Cool, it's completed. You can check them out right here if you want. It'll show you like, oh, this is so cool. Look at this. That just looks very eye-catching in general. But as you can see, all of these pieces are water, and it's just all gonna fall out and become our middle layer, cut layer. So, and then we have roads, which worked beautifully as well. So I didn't want to download that. I just wanted to look at it real quick. Yeah. See how these all melt together into the frame? So you have no work to do once you get done with this. All right. And then the last thing was just the engraved layer. So let's go ahead and download this whole zip folder. Sure, we'll call it that. And then we're going to go ahead and I'm going to open Lightburn. Oh. You caught me. I have another project going. So I'm going to delete those files. Don't really need them. And on my other screen, I have two monitors. I'm going to open a folder, and I'm going to bring in the roads cut first. As you can see, this is what we just did. The second thing I'm going to bring in is the land cut. This. Cool. This is looking really sharp. You can see like blue, green, black. So we're going to be able to assign these colors like the right speed and power to cut or engrave to the laser. I love it. And the last one is land engrave. So typically, like how I'd handle this is I would group these. I just Control G'd that, and that actually grouped it together. And I need to actually make this a different color. There we go. I didn't want this to interfere with this. So this is actually going to be a cut layer. And just to kind of show you, like, it would be like turning the speed of this way down, like to 10 millimeters per second, and then turning the power up. Boom, that's gonna cut. Depending on your laser, but my laser, that'll definitely cut. And so these blue lines right here, so this is all cut too. That's exactly what I want. So I'm gonna go ahead and say, yeah, do the same thing here. 10, max power, 100. Okay. And then, oh, I forgot. This border for some reason turned, it was green because the land was green. We can actually make this all the same color. It's fine with me. And so like all of this is going to cut really nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and start cutting all these out and engraving them. And I'll show you how that goes. All right, well, that was really fun. So here's the first piece. This is the square we cut out. This is just the bottom layer, so water, and just colored it a nice blue. All right, the second layer is this cut and engrave layer. So this was the land and the roads. So it did a really nice job cutting it out, and I'm gonna put it together here in a sec, but as you can see, it's just really, really cool. Those cool lines and stuff like that. So turned out really neat. And then we have like our top thing. And this is the cool thing about the border option in Laser Map Maker is I didn't have to spend any time really cutting out line segments or anything. Everything for the land and this was already done for us. So very cool. Okay. So I'm gonna grab all these now and I'll put it like this. And there's the reveal. So after just probably 30 minutes of cutting and engraving, and maybe another 10 to 12 minutes of file time, we have this nice end product. I did spend a little time sanding the land lines there. You're gonna wanna like leave the water in the cut piece that you take out while you sand, and that makes life a lot easier for sanding. Then you don't have to worry about like little pieces like breaking off because you have the initial cut piece inside still. So that's just a little fun little tip. But yeah, this turned out really cool. I love these Ozark bodies of waters. They're just all cool and jagged and stuff. But you can see this is very doable, and I really, really hope to see some maps come through, and please post them on Facebook when you get them done. We'd love to see them at Laser Map Maker Facebook. So, all right, well, until the next tutorial, thank you all, and start making some maps.